Welcome one, welcome all one more time here on your wonderful show here on Sankofa, and tonight it's going to be fascinating. I'm sitting here together with a beautiful and brilliant brother, Gulstan Anthony. We are talking about greater social issues on the South African space and beyond. Boom! One morning we wake up and one young man by the name of Khomo has a microphone in his hand and the video is being taken that he had cheated on his girlfriend and etc. The repercussions and the ramifications of that confrontation got the whole social media into frenzy. There was one young man there, if you looked very carefully, a day or two later, if I'm not mistaken, who came up with the same confession gown, went up on the station and went up on his own private space and began to deconstruct the entire conversation, the pros and cons, the do's and don'ts, what could have been, and how as a South African community and greater African community are we falling gullible to this whole entire, feminism and etc. To an extent that sometimes people are not even eager to investigate, to interrogate and look at issues and find out if what has been done is right. We just want to, boom, rush up on a quick one and say, this is what has happened, and because of this, and people pass quite incriminating evidences. We know today, 3 days later, the young man lost up quite a number of contracts in terms of his work. He was kicked out of insurance companies where he was advertising and etc. The rest is history. He's trying to put his life together. I've not been able to get in touch with him in the past couple of days to find out what has he done, what is he doing, and what was the impact of that interview on its own. And with me today, I want us to start right there on Khomo. And with me in studio is Gulstan Anthony. So please just greet the audience out there and tell us who are you and where are you coming from, what do you do, who do you do, and how do you do?
Sure, that's a lot of information to give at once. Gulstan Anthony is my name. I'm born in South Africa. I'm a mix of a lot of things. So I'm the kid that, in the beginning when growing up, it says, what are you? And I was like, yo, that's a tough one. Because I'm half South African, half American. Dad is half Mozambican. Okay. And, they met in...
Take your time.
Yeah, they met in the States.
Your mom is?
Born American.
Born American?
Yes.
Your mom is an American?
And then raised Camptonian.
Raised Camptonian, yes. Okay, then your dad?
Dad is half South African, half Mozambican.
Half South African, half Mozambican.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So I'm quite a mix. Yeah.
That's an interesting fruit salad there.
Indeed.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So your greater part of your life, when your growth, you were here, there,
here in South Africa.
Touring in South Africa.
Mostly in South Africa. So as a child, I spent in the United States. But, for the most part, when I knew that I was a human being, I was in South Africa.
You were in South Africa. Yeah. Wow. Let's go. Let's start off with this issue that brought you here where I am. You'll pardon me. I'm just trying to log in other guys here on the social media and just tell them that you are here. So you give me a few minutes while I'm logging in. But all over to you. Your contribution and your commentary on the Khomo story.
Well, firstly, I'm happy to know that so far I got 1.4 million views, and one of the videos particularly has 1 million views. So I'm so happy that happened so fortuitously, knowing that happened. When I put out the video, I was under the impression I'm just going to have 5,000 people hear it, at tops, considering.
No, but even above watching, you did something pushed you to say, something is not right in this narrative.
Something definitely was not right.
Okay, what happened could be wrong.
Yeah.
But the way it panned out,
it
was something wrong, and something pushed you to say, no, man, no, guys.
Absolutely. So it was because the man cheated. So let's get that out the way. I'm not defending his cheating. I'm defending how he was attacked. Right. So the woman put him in a precarious position. Forcing him to put out the name. Sure, she deserves the name because, you're breaking marital vows, right? But then, straight after that, a tweet comes or an Insta story to say that this man is abusive. Right after that, in the video, it mentions that you will not see your son. These were genuine threats. You know how many kids are just falling apart, not having psychological problems. Whether you end up being a nyaupe person, daddy issues, whatever the case may be, and that bothered me. Then I actually just looked at the video over and over and over. I saw that they were trying to destroy this man. How do I know that even more? I put out a second video out about a day or two ago. Straight after she put out that video, 2 days later, a clip came out with an interview with some lady, I do not remember her name, speaking about how abusive it was. It was just a clip, and the video was meant to drop soon. Then my video came out. Fortuitously, that thing went massive. It went big. Guess what happened to that video? It did not come out on YouTube. Why was that?
They pulled it back.
They pulled it off because they were under the impression that, because from say Wednesday to Friday, everyone was on, what's her name? Monique's side, right? Saturday, everyone's on Katlego side. So every Katlego fan was like, yeah, we actually stand with him. They stopped throwing stones at him. This woman intended to destroy them. So I feel like there were deeper marital issues. It was not down to that moment. There were deeper marital issues.
Right.
And so she felt like, you know what? I don't think you understand my pain, and I'm going to translate this pain to your whole life. I want to destroy you. So this is where she put out the video antagonizing him. And secondly, putting up an interview on a popular YouTuber to put it out to the world. And that's it. That's it for his career. So somehow my video, like, kind of...
And Outsurance was just like, immediately that came out. They pulled, I mean, I saw guys driving on the freeways, pulling down Katlego on the posters. Oh, man.
You see, this is why you can't trust all companies. They're not loyal to their people. It's good and well he cheated, but what does cheating have to do with the work that he does? All right, this is a moral.
Does that reduce the quality of work?
Right. This is a marital moral issue. If Outsurance is a marital moral company, sure, you don't want him to be a representative,
but no. While you're on that, don't hurry me. While you're on that, if we should go to the CEO.
Right, I'm pretty sure he's up to no good.
Of Outsurance. If we go to the marketing director, if we go to the assistant director, if we go to the marketing manager, if we go to the entire crew of the 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people working in Outsurance, are you telling me
none of them
that there are no relationships that are happening in those offices? And why would you be so eager?
It's crazy you say that, because I was breaking this down with a conversation with a friend of mine. I'm like, if y'all saying that he cannot cheat and therefore we take him out of the company, I know for sure in every company in the world, not South Africa, in the world, there's always entanglements. I mean, this word just came out. There's entanglements.
The Will Smith entanglement.
Entanglement going on. So I don't understand why y'all want to throw stones at him. And the same person that pulled the plug has been in quite a few entanglements themselves in the company, you know, let alone outside the company. So that for me was a little bit of an issue. And so that's why I mentioned, hey, drop Outsurance like they dropped him. You know, and funny enough, I was just saying a word, like I was just throwing a phrase out, and people were like, "Yep, we dropping Outsurance." So it showed that.
So it actually had an impact.
It actually, there was petitions coming out. Apparently, the petitions were like 70,000, 80,000 petitions to bring him back. I was happy to see that, and I did not say much. That was brilliant. I didn't say
response.
Great, and I don't watch Expresso, right? But it was good to know that the impact of what I said was actually quite heavy, because I said I don't watch Expresso, so I can't really comment about their show. Expresso was not touched. They had mercy on Expresso. However, Outsurance, they got the lash.
They got the lash.
Yeah. So it does say that if we speak out against like injusticeness, not again, we don't want to take away what he did, but that punishment
was drastic. Drastic. Because you look at our Sankofa program. What we are trying to build is to build the social fiber. But in the backdrop of us trying to build the ethical and moral fiber of the community, you have the community and the country being fed on the Yajola 99, for example, where the whole country goes on a frenzy to have Yajola 99 is one of the
that
top.
Show of that gentleman that was in jail once.
The one who knocked the child and whatever. You know the story. For a country to actually say this is our prime show, where we simply want to celebrate and ridicule men that are in illicit or extramarital affairs. With all due respect, I think the thought pattern should be, if this is the trend, what are the causes? How do we assist? How do we do follow-up programs to resuscitate the people or deal with the issues? You know, boom, you are there, you've taken a camera, okay, you found me sitting with a girl in a restaurant, and there's that bit of fight.
And everyone
unfortunately,
smiles on their face
they cut the video at the end of the fight. Oops, it's done.
And
then I sit around and wonder, where is this girl going to sleep tonight? Where is this guy going to sleep tonight? What's going to happen to the children? What's going to happen to the bills? And not that, for me, again, the community does not go beyond that. And I think what you did was quite responsible. Because you're now trying to look at what is the life of Katlego
Thereafter, is this man able to forget Outsurance for a second? The reason why I'm saying the name, because it's really important. Forget Outsurance and Expresso for a second. If this man has any other jobs on the side, it's surely not as big as that. These contracts got him going. Therefore, he was on, what, 10 years on Expresso? Yeah. And I don't know how many years on Outsurance. Surely these contracts matter to him. Going. Now, a man was attacked psychologically. You take a man out. You cut a man's hands off, you'll be fine. Cut a man's feet off. We've known of a gentleman called Oscar Pistorius that did not do anything to his confidence. He went about and did the wrong. But attack a man psychologically, you got him. You got him. And so that's the problem, is that the show that you were talking about is that South Africa, through TV, is creating some form of mobocracy by attacking people mentally. By breaking South Africans themselves socially and say, there you go. And guess what? There's a smile on their face.
And on that note, the two threats for me are quite complex. Because if you say you're going to mess me up in terms of my work, and the next threat is that you're not going to see your children. Now, okay, I've lost a job. I've lost the contract. And I'm supposed to be looking after my child.
Right.
Now that I no longer
take you to court to go look after your son.
Yes. Now that I no longer have the financial means to look after my child, what scenario is created through that? And I watched it quite intently, and I said to myself, man, we mess up, but I think this is quite the ramifications are going to be.
I do not want to make it a comment that I'm talking against women, but I think women need to tend to think this one through. Because if we have to look at that process as a step-by-step, she's going to take him to court and force him to pay for his child.
When he
could barely put something over his head, a roof over his head. The court will force him to pay X amount. He's struggling to pay. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to end up in court again. He can't pay for a lawyer. His head is not in a good, sane space. And then it's just an issue that goes on. And what is the child told? Yes, you see your daddy. That's the problem with your daddy. This is why
I didn't. The poison.
Right. And what happens to the child? Generation number 2 destroyed. What does she get? Happy? No, she doesn't. Because you can't, as I said in the video, you cannot fill the abyss of rancor. When one is bitter, you cannot feed it. And that problem breaks society over and over. And how could you raise someone, have them for 9 months in your stomach and just put them in the world to psychologically damage them? You're supposed to be psychologically protecting them. And what are you doing? Not using them as the collateral damage. That's the direct damage. The father becomes the collateral damage now. Then you have...
Then the residue will always fall on the child on the side.
There you go.
Wow. And again, maybe without necessarily emphasizing much on the Katlego story, the societal construct of the nation at large, and the quality of people, quality of marriages that we are building, it's a fact. It's a fact that 60, if not between 60 and 75% of marriages in South Africa are actually ending up in divorce.
Yeah, 63%. Yeah. I think I checked that a couple of days ago.
But I leave the other 7 for customary.
Yeah.
That are not registered, but it's still happening there. But above 50 to 60%, 63%, as the right people put it, are ending up in divorce. And we look around this, and instead of us discussing what are the causes of this phenomenon,
social issues,
we would rather spend time celebrating and entertaining ourselves on how marriages are falling apart.
Right.
Which, for me, it's like, hold on a second.
Right.
You don't. What do they say in English? You don't cut your face to spite your. You don't cut your
nose to spite your face.
Something like that. I mean, how do we celebrate such gore, cultural fragmentation, when actually we should be putting programs out that build the same society?
Right. Look, first and foremost, people don't understand why that's happening, but there are so many reasons that we could talk over and over and over about. We could not do that in one show. But one of the things is trends. So trends reach us through internet or any medium, right? And through that, people tend to evolve. Now, what I've noticed is that the good news is that women are evolving way faster than men. I mean, this is the first time in the history of mankind where women are evolving. Now, what happens with evolution? Evolution usually wins. You can't beat evolution. And women are evolving, and they taking that evolution and using power against us. Not saying, okay, now that we're evolving and we have this knowledge that you might not have, or now we have the knowledge that you have, walk with us, right? Take us men with you, because all the time we took women with us and says, let's walk together. Nope, it's a battle of the sexes now. And what happens? Destruction upon destruction upon destruction.
Wow. We're witnessing a fragmentation, a total fragmentation of the African mindset and the African culture. And if you could go back to the United Nations, for example, the freedom charters and constitutions of the country, where the right of existence, the freedom of being, self-sovereignty, if a nation in the vendor culture believe that we greet and we lie on the ground and this is how we do it, does an American from New York City have a right of walking up to the vendor culture and say, yo, man, you can't be doing this rubbish, this trash, man.
That's the problem.
You can't be doing that.
Right.
The dominant culture, attitudes, their impact on the subservient cultures, and then the impact that they have, both in the short term, medium term, and in the long term. Here you are now dealing with kids who are in this culture, who now have been given this information, and they act upon it, and they fragment and destroy their own homes and their own lives because they want to fit in with the New York style, and etc. And you wonder, man, if something is working, if it
ain't broke, don't fix it.
it?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, a good example will come from, you mentioned how Western culture would come and destroy a different culture. And this is culture upon culture battles. I've met a king, I don't know if I should specify which king, a very dominant king in South Africa. And he met people from other countries. And guess what they did? They had to go through certain procedures before they could even talk to him. And that was done. Whatever race they came from, whatever country, and these are dominant, they had to do it, irrespective of who they were. They were presidents, guess what?
Go through the process.
Go through that process. And when I looked at it, I was like, congratulations. At least what you believe on your soil is being practiced. Whoever comes from where they have to practice that.
I mean, on that note, the best culture for me right now, one of the countries that I totally respect is Swaziland.
Right.
You would find a Swazi CEO.
Right.
CEO.
Worth a couple of $100 million.
With his,
but he walks up to...
with his traditional thing. No shoes, with a pair of sandals and a small little cloth on his lap. And it's actually accepted as an official dressing within the parliamentary space. Because when you get to China, they don't bow to you. When you get to England, they don't bow to you. When you go to the States and Russia, they don't bow to you. You must play the ball in their court. But unfortunately, when they come here, the most embarrassing thing is that we have to suck up to everything. We have to suck up to the Indians, we have to suck up to the Chinese, we have to suck up to the Americans, we have to suck up to the Europeans and say, where is the decency?
You're forgetting your soil. This is your ground. This is where you make the rules, you know? That's the thing. Trends tend to tune people's minds. Trends tend to tune people's minds.
When we come back after the break, we want to hear who is this young man here called Gulstan. Let's pick up some few aspects in terms of his personal life, his business, and other things that he's doing, and he can share with us what keeps him awake at night. Don't go away. We'll be back right after the break.
Space race has already started.
Russia had got the first object in space.
The coast is as wild today as it was when Europeans settled the continent.
Enormous beasts with enormous thirst. The teams are primed and ready.
They got the first animal in space, and they got the first person.
Time to see what the boys can do.
Make massive moves with Starsat. Make massive moves.
How can you say that?
That is what it is.
You're my
father eloped with someone else.
I just think this is such a genius idea. I think it's amazing.
I can be happy.
It's inside you. It's inside of all of us.
It's about cooking smart that are nutritious and delicious.
President Trump acknowledging the coronavirus death toll could be significantly higher.
We don't want to do this.
There is nothing you can take.
Surviving roommates scared. The heavyweights arrive.
Inside, finds Pachulia, blocked by Jane.
This is the will of God.
Make massive moves with Starsat.
Wherever you are in the world there, if you find this young man called Katlego, tell him he owes me a call. He owes Gulstan a call. Even if you messed up and you did a boo-boo, at least call some people that care for you and link up and create new friendships and etc. Now, let's come to you. I think Katlego has given enough mileage there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you and hear exactly how you grow up, how you come up to where you are, some business that you've done, a bit of education, you're traveling, and where you are right now in terms of your function.
Wow, it's going to be hard to put in order.
Because
there's quite a lot to say, but just to do a fast-forward version of it. Born in South Africa, born in a town called Mafeking. I think it's Mahikeng now.
Okay.
They keep changing the name, so they need to decide on the name. I was born there, then moved to the United States, came back to Mafeking, and from there on out, moved to Limpopo, did high school there, and then moved to the States one more year, came back again, then settled ever since then. Studied architecture.
You're in construction?
No, architecture.
Architecture.
So they're I don't even think they're related, but one works with the other, right? But I knew that was not the way I wanted to go. I wouldn't say forced to. I was kind of like told by my parents that, look, your dad is a electromechanical engineer, and he was the first black electromechanical engineer on the continent. So I had to go that direction, right? And decided, well, architecture would be the easiest of the bunch. Because academic-wise, that wasn't a very difficult path for me. Decided to take it. But then I decided at the end, fast forward from that point to now, it's like I wanted to do something that would make me happy, and that was cinematography. So in the space that you are, not too
movie
far
stuff,
yeah. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I shoot movies. I currently shoot self-funded documentaries based on gender-based violence, as well as a documentary about Nyaupe boys. How did they become? How did they become that, and what do they do to get their fix? So I'm currently working on that.
I read the other day that there's now what's called Bluetoothing now in the space.
Bluetoothing.
In the Nyaupe space, where if one is really stoned and they're good, then they draw blood from him and then transfer to the other, and he gets stoned also.
Right.
But anyway,
that's quite repugnant. But hey, I mean, these Nyaupe boys really go through what they need to get their fix.
I've written 4 movie scripts, but they've not been done.
Maybe you could share them with me?
The first one is Dogs Eat Meat. I think that was a brilliant one.
Okay.
The next one is Yeshua. And the third one, I think I did celebrating the ancient historical spectrums and etc.
Okay, that one sounds interesting.
The last one I think I did was focusing on the Zimbabwean story. And we went to war and we never reported that we came back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are quite deep. The dogs eat meat. I wonder what's its euphemism for.
The dogs eat meat is intended to say all political, religious, economic systems feed on people.
Right.
So people are actually the meat.
Right.
So it's the movie. Yeah, let me get into the movie now.
Yeah.
Let's have some few seconds. Yeah.
Right.
You're sitting outside.
You're getting into producer mode.
You're sitting outside of town. There is a beautiful lake. Women and children are sitting on the grass. Skipping ropes are there. Lovers are sitting on the mats.
And this is all in slow motion, the way
kissing each other, etc. And those that are jogging are running around the lake. Beautiful scenario. Peaceful. But a few miles away, there's a small little white rabbit. Gets out from the bush. 4 big, vicious dogs, horror dogs with teeth and saliva drooling out of their mouths. Gallop towards this rabbit. 4 of them pick up this rabbit, tear it to pieces. Does not even touch the ground. Literally, they shred it to pieces. And then they turn and start running towards the city. When they reach the banks of the lake, they melt into the ground. Yeah. The next thing we're seeing is a church pastor. In the name of Jesus.
I could hear they turning to humans. I saw that one coming in.
Then they turn to politicians, etc. But then they're all moving out. It has to do with our media and etc. It's a beautiful piece of script. But we can share that maybe later on.
Another time, right?
Another time.
Well, look,
cinematography. I just derailed you there.
Yes, that's what I do. So that is my expertise. My tagline is the best to ever do it. So for those,
the tagline is
the best to ever do it.
The best way.
The best to ever do it, and I love repeating it. Okay. The best to ever do it.
The best to ever do it.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So whoever's seen my cinematography and whatever kind of videos I've done, it would be compelling to watch. You know, people do enjoy watching it. So on that note, well, I'm pretty sure I'm going to advertise in the end. Gulstan.Anthony. Follow that on Instagram. That's where all my work is.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. So you're into movies, actually. That's what
right.
you do. Which is a rare. I mean, you're in the leagues. I mean, you're growing in that space and getting enough teeth. Yeah. The Tyler Perry stories, Spike Lee's, the Lee Morgans, the Freemans,
And most of all, it's self-funded. So I shoot it how I want to shoot it. Nobody tells me how to shoot it. So the stories are told according to how I believe it should be told. Right. So no media forum is telling me, yo, tell it in this form so you can get money or you can have this narrative. No. I'm telling it the way I want to, and the mass will decide if it's something they would like to consume.
No, I'll take you up on that. I'll take your details because we have quite a few stories in terms of the African narrative that have not been spoken correctly. I mean, you look at, for example, the issue of indigenous medicines is just a quick one.
Right.
You look at the African migrations, there's another storyline, for example. You look at the whole subject matter of we fought for the country, but we were rewarded with democracy. Is this what we're fighting for?
Right. That's deep.
You know, now we end up with this. You end up with a philosophy, and the poor old lady in Mtuva is still waiting for the land, and it is not yet coming yet. And the kings were told, we are bringing South Africa back. So there are quite a number of narratives. That
Unfortunately, I don't touch on politics because it's such a.
But if you find a strong storyline there that needs to be told, if I can take you to an old lady who was living and the sewage has been leaking in front of her house from apartheid to date, and someone says, can you share this story?
Yeah, I could.
And what has been the impact of the new South Africa when the pit toilet is still standing exactly where it was in 1956?
56 is long. 64 years.
It's still there.
That hurts.
And yet every 5 years you're voting. Put your ex. They come to your house and drop a T-shirt and they walk away. But anyway, I because for me it is movie cinematologists, musicians and artists who I want actually to call the pulse of the community, because it is in that space that you actually find the freedom of a group of people who express and relate the reality.
You know, on that note, I was having a discussion, I don't know how much time we have, where we were having a conversation about art and science. Now, I come from both worlds.
Okay. I'm a fine artist, so I paint.
You're fine. I could tell from that hat. I was like, no, there's some serious fine art in you. Who needed who? Who would survive without the other? Do we need them? Who don't we need? And it's quite interesting you say that art is the pulse of the community, and science is literally the foundation. And then with that, for it to stand, it needs art.
Wow. I mean, look at you dressed up beautifully like this.
Thank you.
It's not about just you dressing up properly, but you want to look at that piece of art that is on your chest, that before it was converted and translated into material.
Yeah, well, I have to give the credit to someone else. This is not me. I got a significant.
I heard the news. I heard the news outside of the studio that the brilliant lady stood up to get it done. But I'm just trying to emphasize that actually, the artist who is never mentioned, his name is not signed anywhere.
Right. Well, I could tell you who it is.
No. I'm saying the artist who did
this,
the print.
Right.
Not the design.
Not the cloth. Yeah.
Not the design. So in the shadows of the mystery, you never actually find. You look at your advertising. You look at your clothes. You look at your elegance and etc. and all those prints that you find, traditional stuff. Someone does the art and they disappear into oblivion. Even you look at the pieces of head like this, I cannot take credit. I can take credit for putting the head together.
Right.
But as of the designs and etc., I find them already indigenously transmitted from one generation to the other, and there's no credit. No one takes credit for. But it drives. So for me, art is actually and BMW did the best, of course, when they took Mashangu, when they took the old lady from Kwandebele and decided to create some artwork
on that dashboard.
Yeah, that was
art. What can we do without it?
I hear you love cars. You love cars and other things. Let's hear some.
I like cars.
No, I googled you.
That was not part of the brief. Yeah, I do like cars. At some point when I was in high school, I really wanted to move to Germany to design cars. And there were so many things I wanted to be in high school. An astronaut first, then I wanted to be a car designer. But then car design, AMG, when they started off, when Mercedes bought them in 2001, that was my thing ever since. So I loved cars. I loved the idea of the engines. American muscles has also been my thing. So I try to collect some of them.
Okay. No, you bike?
I sort of kind of do, but apparently I'm not a real biker because my bike has 3 wheels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
I do biking all day.
You do biking?
Yeah.
So mine's got 3 wheels.
Say we are the bikers with the wind on our faces and the sun on our backs. Yeah.
Yeah, no, y'all real bikers. I got 3 wheels. I need a balance.
No, but still cool. Maybe we must do some. What we can think around also maybe is to do maybe a small little rally or a drive or a run.
Breakfast runs.
Yeah, if on your projects, for example, you find some synergies there. Yeah. There should be something we can do together.
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
All right. What bike do you ride, by the way?
I drive a Victory, 1.8 engine.
I shouldn't have asked because I don't know what a Victory is.
Okay, it's a it's a cousin of the Haley.
Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
But the classic, the Victory. Google them and they're classic. There are not so many of them around. Yeah, but yeah. So it's a Victory 1.8.
1.8.
Engine.
That's massive.
No.
I'm on a 990, so that's literally twice the size of mine.
Let's go. Yeah. Let's go. It's there he is.
Yeah.
There he is.
All right.
No, but in my spare time when I feel a bit stressed and etc. I just want some, not for speed, but just sit on a bike and just
ride it out.
Wind and just do like 60 Ks from here to Wheatbank. I do that quite often.
60 Ks.
60 to 90 Ks.
Not 160 Ks.
No, I'm saying distance. The distance.
Okay. Yeah.
No, of course we're doing 180, 190, but it's fine.
You snitch on yourself on TV.
Yeah, then you go down, then you come back again after an hour, 2 hours later, and just the throb of the engine and the wind just does it for me. Yeah.
The same feeling you have for that's the same feeling I have for AMGs.
When we come back after the break, we'll be concluding this conversation. Let's speak a little bit about his personal life and how he has navigated in this world full of trouble. I mean, he was extinguishing flames of Katlego, being caught up in a complicated entanglement there. Let's find out how he also has been entangled in his own space and how he has managed to put a stable life, stable family. He looks much better and much happier. And he's dressing.
And I am.
There's a woman behind it. Behind every successful man, there's a woman. And behind every successful man, there's a woman saying you are wrong.
Make massive moves.
Deceiver! There isn't any time to waste then.
We can't save everyone in this war.
One moment, that's all we got.
You're locked in here with me.
Make massive moves with Starside.
I want you to eat healthy food because it's delicious.
Make massive moves.
Would you like another one?
I love it.
I love this too. This is amazing. The grits are so creamy. Oh.
I take pride in my grits.
So flavorful.
I think that looks wonderful.
Yeah.
It's so incredible.
Make massive moves with Starside. Make massive moves.
Isn't that your daughter's bib? But the truth is, I feel like Arabella's always with me.
Don't you ever forget this man's face. He killed your brother.
Don't shoot! Please don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Make massive moves with Starside.
Thank you very much and welcome one more time, and thank you wherever you are in Bujumbura. You could be in Accra, in Ghana, you could be in Nigeria, you could be in Nairobi, you could be in Brazzaville, you could be in Zambia, and thank you very much for giving us space in your homes and on your phones and wherever you are. We really appreciate you as our audience, and tonight with us, Gulstan is here. Fine young man, plural history, all states, Africa, Mozambican. My grandmother is Mozambican also.
Really?
From my father's side.
Okay.
And on my mother's side, she's Venda. She's Venda. Then my grandfather is Shona. Then my grandfather on my mother's side is Zulu. So I have 4 tribes.
The beauty of being African.
Like really, it can't get better than that.
Absolutely.
And here you are.
Yeah.
Seeing much clearer. Hearing much more.
Yeah.
Seeing things in a different light. It was not always like that.
No, absolutely not.
Maybe just take us through that curve.
It's kind of hard. Where do I start? Where do I start?
It's always nice to start with the sentimental issues, you know, and then move over to the more external issues.
I guess because, like, while we were in the break, we were just having like a little brief between you and I, speaking about us, and you're like, oh, you were once married. I'm like, yeah, I've got a beautiful young son by the name of Riley. He's a precocious kid. He's the exact kid that you imagine before the child's born, growing up. I have exactly that. And the development came from, obviously, as a father, before he was born, singing to my child, you know. I was married to a different woman at the time. And I sang to my child, wanted him to understand certain kinds of music, played piano to him before he was born. You're a pianist? I'm a horrible pianist.
Horrible, but you at least meddle.
Right. I'm meddling a little bit. Okay. Bought him a piano. Piano's still at the house and whatnot. And then, unfortunately, we decided to go separate ways. When I, and the reason why I have to say I, most of the time when there's a divorce, the one thinks it's, what did you do? The man, what did you do? I decided to file it, and that was something that broke the child. This is why I relate with Katleho's situation. And then I said to myself, you know what? I need to focus on the child. And what was happening was exactly what was happening to me in Katleho, as happening to Katleho.
So you could relate to Katleho?
I could relate. I could actually relate. So
I mean, you can get entangled. Yeah, handsome young men like yourself.
Thank you.
You can get entangled. And some people ask me, why do you keep such a big bush and looking so scruffy like this? Hey, you just keep the mosquitoes away.
Some of us can't grow it, you know. So I tried, you know. There's whiskers all over me. And then, therefore, I decided, you know what, let me just focus on the kid to 2020, only seeing him 10 days in 2020. So this was a fight behind the scene that was happening. But I decided, you know what, let me focus on trying to keep his head right. Every time he comes to his daddy's space, he has to remember who he is. If you go check up videos up on his Instagram page, you will see that he remembers who he is because daddy was there all the time. So that the chances of him going left are lower, irrespective of what he's being taught on the other side. Not to paint the mother any sort of color, but to make sure that the destination of my child is at the same place. So moving on to next relationships, it makes it easier for whoever meets me to say, look, that's definitely a son I want to mother because he's well taught.
What did you learn from your previous breakup?
Don't get married young. I was 30 when I got married,
30.
but it was still young.
But you still look 24.
No, I'm 35.
Okay.
I'm 35.
35. I mean, honestly, you would have bluffed me and tell me you are 28. I would not have refused.
No, I'm not.
35.
35, yes.
There's something you're doing right.
Yes, two things. Stay away from over partying and alcohol, and trying to stay away from overly stressing.
Don't stress too much.
Yes.
Now, try and guess on mine. I don't think I would.
I do not. Beer throws everyone off, so I do not want to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm above 50, of course.
Above 50,
yeah,
okay.
but it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Here on Farmers of Thought and Sankofa, we have this small little tool that we usually use. This is my chance of sharing my life with my guests.
Right.
So we have here the world of material, where everyone is stuck in. I made it myself.
Okay.
So it's my personal hands. The world of material, where we're gathering things to ourselves.
Okay.
We spend lots of time gathering phones, cars, and houses. But the world of material is informed by the world of the voice.
Okay.
What informs you?
Is that the second portion?
The second portion.
Okay.
So the world of material and the world of voice.
Okay.
So what you speak before you even marry, you are going to say, emergency, sing right me. I found something.
Yeah.
If you're going to buy a car, there's something that I want to do. You want to buy a house, there is something that happens when you are about to do something that is big.
Right.
That your mind must hear your voice say it. So we say, create your world with your words.
Okay.
So your words actually create your world. And then the world of words is informed by the world of light, which is information.
Okay.
You can't speak what you don't know.
Okay.
You can't imagine what you're not informed about. A child who's never been in space and etc., and you talk about space. A child in Mozambique, in the bushes of Mozambique, has never seen a TV and say a TV is a tube. They think about a bicycle tube.
Right.
So you cannot speak what your mind cannot comprehend. You cannot feature in a future you can't picture.
Right.
So
that's just so much. Okay, slow that down. You can't feature in a future that you can't picture. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
So the world of material is informed by the world of voice. And the world of voice is informed by the world of information.
Information, yeah.
Then the knowledge is.
Yeah.
But the world of knowledge comes from the world of spirit, which is inspiration, dreams, premonition.
Okay.
You know,
so technically
innovation.
that's backwards.
It's backwards.
Ah, got you.
It's backwards. So that's where you're sleeping at night and you wake up in the morning and boom, I need to start something. I got an idea. And that idea for me, that inspiration, I would want to capture that into the world of the spirit. So the spirit informs the mind for information. Then the mind informs the voice. Then the voice informs the body to create the material. So when the lights are off, keep the door closed. Darkness will come out through your mouth. I don't know what you're going to do with this. Find a beautiful frame of it and hang it somewhere there. This represents the past. This is the present. And that is the future.
And
So
right
it's
after it is beyond.
Beyond the future. And this is beyond what we understand and comprehend. But within that, you have time and thought patterns and processes of how best we can think. So I hope that in your next life, when you're getting older one day, you might want to sit around with your children and unpack this. When it comes to marriages, you go through that. Economics, you go through that. And I hope
So
it makes sense.
just to break it down one last time. So it's the first part would be
the spirit.
The spirit. This is where you dream, right? And this is where you get the information. This is where you speak about the information. This is what you do with the information using materials. Got it.
And then while you're doing that, remember, how did they in the past? How did they in the past? How did they in the past? How did they in the past?
In the past.
And then you come to the next one. How did they in the past? So you need to punctuate the entire stick 3 times each. So you have 3 questions, 3 questions, 3 questions, and 3 questions on each. Then you multiply, that's 12, the first 12 sets of questions.
That is deep. I'm still processing what you're saying, but that's deep.
No, you'll watch the video and you'll process it. And again, on the same wavelength, you can take this as a compass in terms of your family trees, your mother, grandmother, grandfather, grandmother, grandfather, father and mother side. Then you actually encapsulate the gifts that you have in you. You can also encapsulate that in the 4 compasses, the 4 worlds, the east, west, south, and north.
Right.
So while you're thinking, how are the Chinese doing it? How are the Americans doing it? How are the Africans doing it? And how are the Europeans doing it? So I sit in the garden quite often and I hold a stick like that and I process quite complex volumes of information because it allows my mind to keep on turning. And on top of that, we also give you a small little booklet entitled So You Want to Be the Master. I wrote it in my previous life when I was doing some religious stuff, but within it, you also find how do you master your own issues. And
Absolutely. I will take it.
It's yours. I brought it for you. I brought it for you. Yes. So your last parting shot. If you are supposed to be president of Africa, what would you do for us?
Ooh, you don't want me to be president.
I want you to be president.
I would get rid of a lot of things. People stop living under this world of mobocracy and this trends. You need to understand what you're consuming. I think I would start with the social thinking.
Social thinking.
Social thinking, and then I'll go from there on, because social does affect economy. You know, people think it's the other way around, you know, and then see from there where to build. But I don't think I want me to be president. I'll be very strict.
But you do lots of social change, because and what you are doing already is to do with the transformation of the society. So you're already in that space.
I found myself there, and I think I'm comfortable there, and I want to keep going.
Your advice on cross marriages, national marriages?
Do it. You complain about racism. Get rid of it. Marry someone in a different race.
Then just deal with it. Deal with it from
love.
From the sink where you're brushing your teeth and say hello, good morning, says good morning, and we're there dealing with it right. Your favorite foods?
I don't have favorite foods, but anything edible.
Anything edible?
Anything edible.
Okay, I must take you to another place. They eat crocodiles there. And
no, that's something else.
And you have already spoken about cars, and I am mentioning AMG, etc.
Right.
On the art side, what do you do?
Cinematography is my art.
Okay.
Yeah.
But some of your favorite, are you inspiration in that regard?
In terms of, if we're going to go down to...
Who would you put as some of your role models, so to speak?
Role models, okay, this is interesting. So it's Barack Obama. I just love how eloquent he speaks, and you know how he uses his heart and his mind to speak. I love a gentleman who recently got divorced by the name of Dr. Dre. He's been there as long as I've been alive, and he's been walking through this industry like crazy. I love Michael Bay, the way he portrays these images, the stories that he tells in these movies. And those are the three I'll mention today.
Okay, ask me who's my favorite.
Who is your favorite?
Jacob Zuma.
Jacob Zuma.
Ask me why.
How?
You don't need education.
Yeah.
You don't need nothing to become anything.
Yeah.
You just need to find out your passion.
Yeah.
And get it done. At grade 5, you can be a president of 56 million people. To me, it can't get better than that. I have more than 2-3 degrees behind my back.
Yeah.
And if I have less, let me not blame it on education. Another man who had far much less did far much more.
So if you're in pop culture, then your favorite person must be Casper, because he also went through the same route. Within the
same wavelength. But sometimes I think we go through these academic processes, and then we have a list of expectations and entitlement. And you think that, okay, I'm coming from vets, you know, I'm going to have it. You end up standing on the street with no job.
Right.
And some with far much less because of their humility. So we say in philosophy, humility opens the door. Wisdom will give you a chair. When you are knocking, knock humbly. But when they give you an opportunity to speak, speak with confidence. But if you knock on my door arrogantly, now I want to open the door.
You might not get in.
So humility will open the door.
Knowledge will give you the seat at the table.
Give you a chair to sit on. Your final words to the young men of Africa. In general, from Cape to Cairo.
Oh, there's just so many, but hey, think before you act. That's all I gotta say.
Think before you act. If people are looking for you, one more time, where can they find you?
Gulstan.Anthony, or Gulstan Anthony is a good place thing to Google. Gulstan Anthony, and Instagram is _ or dot. I'm not sure which one. Twitter the same, and Facebook.
Some of the work that you're doing in East Africa?
East Africa, I happen to be quite popular because I manage Zeri. For those who know Zeri.
Zeri?
Zeri, the boss lady.
Oh, the boss?
Yes, the boss lady. So she's the biggest mogul on Instagram to date in Africa. So I manage her. Yeah.
Wow.
Brand manager.
Yeah. You're a brand manager also?
Right.
You didn't say much about that.
I mean, there's lots to speak about. It will need more than one show.
It has to take me poking everywhere, just trying to find out where is... Also, you're also a brand manager. Anyone?
Particularly to her.
To her.
Right. I do not take on projects.
You don't take
on project, no.
No, you just decided to pick one and do it well.
Right. So I'm not as ubiquitous as, you know, hey, I'm a brand manager, call me if you want to know. Specifically to her, I helped build her brand. She's one of the biggest brands in Africa.
If there's a woman you care for there and your son out there, what do you want to say to them tonight?
For my son, keep doing what you're doing. I'm really proud of you. For the woman that is out there in my life, look how happy I am. It's you.
My name is Maponga Jefuzijena Chigarampoko Garamashamba Huda Chiriana Wanawanji Makumbe Mwana Mwisendewe Shano Tisi Wanamshamba Negore Wanamgarama Ukimatanda Novra Chiwiki Teza Chino Tezera Kuri Warpedo Wantambana Chumtambo Riparu Ware Wanachinamba Kusesera Mpanango Kubana Mashakumagaro Chiriana Wanawanji Wiramiti Asose here with you on Galaxy Universal Network. Show is some comfort. Don't do what I wouldn't do. If you decide to do it better.